Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Octopus 2000, a movie that's like if you took Mission Impossible or James Bond, but made it a creature feature instead of just focusing on a agent and his captive. Basically what this movie's going to be like. I like the sequel a little bit more than this one, but I'll cover the sequel next week, so stay tuned. Ha ha ha. But anyway, before we get into that, as always, let's talk about Dubby, our energy sponsor. Thank you to Dubby for sponsoring the Oddcast. You didn't have to, but you chose to, and we appreciate you. So go use code Oddcast, save yourself a little extra money off your orders. They're constantly running deals, so you can get a couple different flavors, maybe even a shaker. So go show them support, show us support at the same time. Stay odd, stay happy. Back into our movie, we start off with JFK black and white footage about the Cuban Missile Crisis, because we got to figure out what makes a giant octopus, right? Well, it turns out here in 1962, in the Devil's Eye, part of the ocean as it's called here, a Russian sub met an American sub and got shot down and leaked radioactivity into the water. And that's what's going to bring in our octopus later, our monster. But then we cut over to present day and we see our main character, Roy, a special agent Roy, CIA agent with his partner Henry, who's just an old man. But they're talking about how they hate being in Bulgaria. They're at a U.S. embassy. They've been chasing a guy, and they're like, man, it's stupid. Like, I'd rather just be doing analytics like I always do. And Henry's all, well, you're young. You should be out, blah, blah, blah. And it's a whole thing. And we meet our main villain, Casper, who's disguised as an old woman who's handing out pastries. And, little girl, you're such a good little girl. You take the pastry, such a good little girl. But leaves a bag, and then they notice her outside, and they're like, hey, didn't that old woman have a bag? And turns out it was a bomb, and he blows up the U.S. Embassy, and Roy and Henry take chase, but there's another bomb, and it kills Henry. But Roy does manage to capture Casper, and we see the CIA higher-ups talking about, well, we need to keep it under wraps, because this guy is really wanted, and he's got a bunch of people. So, fuck it. Let's throw him on a submarine we got nearby, and we'll just transport him that way so that he's off radar. But of course, it doesn't work because movie got a movie, and we see that the terrorist cell already knows about it. And, they're making a plan to hijack a cruise ship, and they're going to get a signal from Casper because apparently somehow he managed at some point to get a message out. They don't really explain how he got a hold of anyone or how this was the plan. Regardless, the plan is that he'll send out some kind of message and they'll come find him. But anyway, back in the movie, we see our other main character, Dr. Finch, playing strip poker with a bunch of dudes in the submarine. Probably not the best idea ever, but hey, whatever. And we have our whole ragtag group. We got the submarine, they're going to transport Casper, and they end up having some words, Casper and Roy end up having some words about that he's morally corrupted. Yeah, he has like a whole thing about like, I don't have regrets, so I hope you'll have some regrets about your choices. Which I don't think anyone really is going to have regrets at all by the end of this movie.
But cared the way you did. It was so brave of you.
I'm beginning to think it was a mistake.
Well, there are no mistakes, Roy. Life presents situations, we react to them, which is how we're measured. The key, I find, is to stay focused on what you really want. That way, you will always react accordingly and have no regrets.
But then we get, we just continue on, and the sub's doing its thing. Roy and Dr. Finch talk about that the captain beached a submarine before, trying to catch bad guys. So when he talks about being a hero, it's only partially true, because he's on this submarine to keep him out of the fucking way of everything. And then they end up getting attacked by the something that damages their rudders and their propeller. So they send divers out to try to figure out what might be going on. They get attacked and eaten. Nobody's still entirely sure what the hell's going on, but the captain's like, we need to descend down further, try to lose it, which upsets a lot of the crew because, they're just kind of leaving men behind. They don't know what's going on. But, things are going to be all right, except that while the sub's descending down, the doctor is trying to figure out what's on the audio tapes that they have, because they have audio from the whole incident. But Casper is having some issues, so Agent Roy goes to investigate. But it's a trap!
What the hell's going on?
I don't know, sir. I found him this way. He's going into shock. He's choking. Be careful. Be very careful with him.
Uh-oh. Looks like we're in trouble again, Roy.
Yeah, I don't know how he made himself foam up, but like, I mean, smart on his part, but he is like an evil genius, basically, like bad guy terrorist, but whatever. So yeah, that's all going on. While that's going on, the doctor figures out that it's some kind of giant sea creature because it's using some kind of echolocation kind of shit. And a whole bunch of shit happens here. Just a lot of dialogue of like the crewmen all freaking out and people just not doing too great. Casper kills the dude that he had as like a cat, like, I don't know, burning chip, I guess, because he fucking kills him, and so it doesn't even fucking matter, and he slips away. So then, of course, everyone's trying to figure out what to do, and they have the thing on radar, so they shoot torpedoes. They think they kill it, and they start celebrating, and it's like, you should never celebrate too early in a movie like this, but hey, because Casper got free, he slips away, and then Roy and the captain have some heated exchange of words about, hey, this guy got free and you have a dead man, and then Dr. Finch is like, hey, it's a giant sea creature, and they're like, shut the hell up, we have to deal with a terrorist. But of course, Dr. Finch goes back to her lab, Casper finds her there, and then she's all like, I'll do anything you want as long as you don't fucking kill me. And he's like, well, you're right, well, I'm going to need you to help me then. And he sends out his SOS beacon, but of course Roy and the captain find him. And the captain and Roy end up detaining him, putting him back under custody. But he does a little oops, and he falls and sets off his SOS beacon that he wanted to anyway, so his men can find him, because they're taking over that cruise ship to come find him. But then we cut over to the cruise ship, and they hear about the beacon, and they're getting themselves ready. But one of the maids, I just had to include this, because it's such an unneeded bit.
I hope these people are good tippers. What is this? Eats your teeth.
Should have been careful what you asked for. And he's like, I hope they're good tippers. Like, well, I mean, they gave you a tip of some kind. I guess that depends on how you feel about that. But anyway, the doctor and the captain and Roy are all talking about what could be going on. And suddenly they start getting attacked by the thing again. Because, of course, creature's not actually fucking dead. And there's a part of the submarine that starts filling up with water. And they're going to rush over there to try to help. But then they see a giant tentacle reaching in and ripping people out. And they're like, oh my fucking God. But while they're distracted, Casper sneaks away and tries to, fucking seal them off so that they can all fucking just die, which doesn't work because, of course, the captain knows a way around the bulkhead that he sealed off. But while this is going on, the octopus wraps itself around the submarine and sends him down into a ravine, like a cliff face kind of thing underwater. Movie got a movie, and the crewmen all freak the fuck out thinking they're all gonna die because they've taken a lot of damage, so they're worried it's just gonna implode, and we get basically everybody just kind of sewer slides it. Literally they show that that's what happens to all the other crewmen. But while they're sitting and not able to do anything, the captain comes back and he's like, where's everybody? And the only man left is Brickman, who's like, yeah, they wouldn't stay. But while we're sitting here, I did manage to send out a remote fucking camera thing, and he's been searching around the area to see what might be going on, and they find the old submarine that kind of, got lost from 1962, and we get a whole thing about, like, oh yeah, that was, there was believed to be a Russian sub shot down during the Cold War, but nobody ever found it, so nobody ever really believed it. Man, that's the ship, because Roy ends up seeing the name of it. And they end up, and Brickman does tell him, like, hey, we've taken a shit ton of damage from that fucking thing, so, like, we have about, 30 minutes before this whole ship is gonna be fucking toast. 30 minutes to an hour, our fusion core's just all sorts of fucked. So Dr. Finch ends up pulling them all into her lab because she got a water sample taken, and we get an explanation about the octopus.
broke down the water sample from inside the Russian sub. It contains a crude pathogen form called trichothecene mycotoxin. Okay? Fancy name for the anthrax virus.
Biological warfare.
Uh-huh. This stuff is a synthetic hybrid, very powerful.
That explains the entire cover-up. If Kennedy had known, he would have launched.
I mean, the bacteria in it must have affected this thing's ancestors, and the mutation is compounded over each generation.
I hate to be that guy, B-movie, but, like, I don't think that's how anthrax and fucking anything works. I don't think that's how that would work at all. But, I could be wrong. Maybe I am. I'm not a scientist, but I'm almost fairly certain that's not how that would work in, like, any fucking way. But regardless, I guess. They make a plan. They're going to use a protein mixture thing and lure the octopus in so that when the sub explodes, it'll also kill it. And they're going to sneak off on the submersible that she's brought to basically so she could explore different parts of the ocean while they were there. But it works out because now they needed to escape. So they do. They all get in and they all get out of there. The submarine explodes and they surface up and they're like, oh, such a happy day. But of course the cruise ship is there. So that is short-lived because Casper's men very quickly go, yeah, you're ours now. You're gonna be our prisoners. Have fun with that. And Casper got to be evil Casper, so he of course is like, I have another bomb, Mr. Roy. What will you do now? Ha ha ha. He's like a bad James Bond villain, I fucking swear. While he's setting the bomb and they're doing their thing, the octopus is real pissed off, and he comes up and he sees the cruise ship, and he's like, I'm gonna fuck this ship up like I fucked up every other ship that's been here. So the captain tries to get free, they shoot him in the leg, and then Casper makes his getaway because they have a chopper on the way that's supposed to come pick him up. So the captain's like, I'll deal with the bomb. Roy, you go capture your man. And he did... Agent Roy does try to catch Casper, and he catches up to him just in time as the octopus is eating a bunch of people. Doesn't really work out because Roy won't shoot someone who's, unarmed. So then we get this little speech from Casper to Roy, and he's all, what a boring way to end this after all we've been through, old chap. You with a gun in your hands, you won't shoot, and I flying off into the sunset.
I win, Roy! I win!
Not in this lifetime, old chap!
Of course, he spoke too soon, yet again. Never have your cake and try to eat it too. Yeah, so he's dead. Like, the octopus just took the whole fucking chopper down. So, that's fun. And then back below the deck, the captain's like, I couldn't defuse the bomb. We're going to have to use the submersible. And maybe we can kill the monster that way. So they do. And Roy takes off on the submersible with it. And we get another explosive kill on the monster. Yeah, so Roy ends up surfacing, and then they end out on some late 90s R&B into our credits, and everybody's happy. But I just have to say, I don't think he'd be able to escape, because I don't think that's how that would work with how far down he was. Pretty sure he would have drowned. Also, it showed there was like 10 seconds left on that thing, and like, how the fuck did he get out of the submersible? There's so many questions, and but I get it, it's a shitty B-movie, you're not supposed to question. But I do, because it doesn't make any sense. But anyway, that's Octopus from 2000. The sequel has a lot more fun with having a giant monster concept because it takes place, I think, in New York City. So, it just has more fun with, it's a giant octopus movie. You don't need to try to be this serious fucking spy thing. But don't gene splice animals. Don't bring animals back from the dead. Don't bring anything back from the dead. Don't dump your chemicals in the sewer. Be careful where you leave your radioactive material. Sorry, can't speak at the end here. Don't bury the dead under the roads. Stay out of the water. But most of all, stay odd, stay happy. I will see you on the next one. Our next one will be a lot more fun, and I enjoyed a lot more. Goodbye, everyone. Who the fuck thought of this? Who the fuck thought of an anthrax octopus? What the fuck?